Shop Audi Lexington and AudiLexington.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came back to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Old Limestone Mixing Water, for those who savor fine bourbons. Kentucky's limestone filtered spring water brings out the flavored nuances of any bourbon. Pick some up and take the taste test. Pour a bourbon neat. Sip it. Now add Old Limestone. Swirl and sip again. Now that's bourbon. Look for it at your favorite store, as well as Total Wine & More, The Party Source, and Liquor Barn, or order online at oldlimestone.com.
If you own or manage a business in Central Kentucky and are just not happy, not sure that your current marketing vendor is turning your ad dollars into actual company revenue, then you need to listen up for the next 15 seconds. My name is Chris Pugh, Vice President here at LM Digital, and I want to for the next 15 seconds. My name is
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? I believe Sean just set up the YouTube stream for this.
Okay, which means what?
I believe it's streaming on there live. Like right now, we are live. Even though the show's not live, because it's recording Zoom, everything that's happening like within the meeting will go on the YouTube, and it's there right now.
So what we're talking about now is on?
Yeah.
Isn't there? We need to turn that off.
That's if I don't think there is a way to do that. It's all or nothing.
That's not good.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, so right now we're live on YouTube.
Yes.
Okay, when does it stop?
Whenever we stop the Zoom meeting.
So as soon as the Zoom is on, we're on.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have to take this off and figure out a better way because there are other ways to get it done. So I'm told. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, I assumed as much too. So
okay,
he just wanted to see how it worked.
So where on Zoom is it to tell people?
First, what all do you want in the open so I can?
Yes, let's have Kirby. And I think the kid from Texas is pretty self-explanatory, don't you think?
Yeah, I think once people, yeah.
Should we do that first or for understanding? Did you do anything on the All-Star game?
Yeah, I've got Schwarber winning it. We got like 10 seconds, so.
I'll put Schwarber as the third thing.
What's the second thing, the Texas?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Hello, Mark. Mr. Pope, 1996.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Hey, let's give it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, gratitude is a skill, guys. But if you practice, it will give you a joyful life regardless of your circumstances.
If you don't love the game, don't come to Georgia. If you don't want to be coached and you don't want to be coached hard, don't come to Georgia. I just want you to love the game. And the guys that do that, they tend to, like, we'll coach them to go the right direction. I just need them to do it with a lot of passion and energy every day, and sometimes you don't get that in college football now.
The tie has the initials of all the victims at Camp Mystic that passed away in the Texas flood at the Kerrville County. And most of these initials are 8-year-old campers that were at Camp Mystic for the first time ever. And they were there to just have fun and praise the Lord and be there for summer. And they lost their lives in the floods and fighting for their lives. And then two of the other initials are the counselors of these girls, and they lost their lives trying to save these campers' lives, and they risked their lives trying to be heroes. And I wanted to shed light on everybody that passed away, and the last one was the camp director who went back into the floods to try to save some of those girls' lives, and he risked his life and lost his life saving people's lives. So these girls and this camp director should be remembered as heroes, and I just want to shed light on something that's way more important than SEC Media Day, way more important than anything, way more important than the game of football.
Schwarber in the air to center field, headed towards the wall, and dead center. That's huge for the National League. So there you go. He said if he could get it on his first swing, and he did. Schwarber's in the All-Star game. Rallied in the game. NL has rallied in the swing. With the hat trick. Look out, Chop House. National League takes the lead 4-3. Unbelievable.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler. Apparently live on YouTube for the first time, but I don't know where. Jimmy, if you do, let me know. Sean set this up, and it's kind of an experiment. So, Jimmy, I'm usually a pretty good boy in the commercial breaks, aren't I?
Sometimes.
Wait a second. How often
depends which guest is coming in and the banter that you two have.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. But cursing-wise, I don't curse in the commercial break, correct?
Again, depends which guest.
Really?
Yeah.
Not all
the time, but yeah, I can.
In 2.5 years plus, I have cursed in a break. I've never cursed at you.
No, not. It's never like a yelling curse. It's usually just some back and forth with whoever's. Nothing really, really bad. And I'm like, I hope this recording doesn't come out.
You know what the bad news is? Sorry for stepping on you. You're probably right and I'm wrong, and I just do it and I don't even realize it. I'm not trying to shill. You know me better than that.
Yeah.
I know filter myself. Guess I don't realize. Anyway, good afternoon. If you know where this is, let people know. We're kind of messing around with this for expansion, as so many of you are listening in your trucks, different state, live, different states. It's really growing to thank you. And the podcast either later in the day or tomorrow morning or tonight or whatever. And I hope I say thank you enough, because word of mouth is really how this thing is growing. Okay, in the open, there were a few different things. Now, as far as Kirby Smart, this is the thing he says all the time. This is his recruiting pitch, and it makes perfect sense. Okay, we're going to pay you X, but guess what? It's a sales kind of thing, which is very smart. You take it away, and you tell them, look, the hell with the money. If you don't love football, I don't want you here. And by the way, I actually believe it. Now, I also believe there are times that guys don't love it enough. He's going to take it anyway because he thinks he can push them to the next level. So is there a little BS in there? I think there is. Okay. Do I believe the sincerity overall with that remark? Absolutely. Because Kirby Smart, who now makes like $13 million a year, knows he can't win if guys don't love the game. It's a pretty simple deal. Every coach says it, but it's become kind of his mantra. So he said it again in the SEC Media Days. By the way, quick aside, the best work that Feinbaum does, and Feinbaum is on in the afternoon, is during SEC Media Days, because he has, to his credit, for years and years, really good relationships with a lot of coaches, and he's very good sitting and talking and doing interviews. He's very good at that. It's the best thing he does by far, and I make a mental note of going out of my way, if possible, to listen during SEC Media Days, because some of the give and take, like his stuff with Kiffin of Ole Miss, is just, I wouldn't say it's legendary, but it's really good. They have an odd relationship, and they bust each other's chops, and it's really good, but there's trust there. And Feinbaum has said some things about Kiffin that Woo! Now, Kiffin really believes he helped him get fired at USC. He really believes it, and he busts his chops about it, but Kiffin has gotten over it, but he'll needle him about it. So it hasn't been a lovey-dovey relationship for the entire time. And Stoops will be on there. All the coaches are on there. He gets the best guests during the SEC, from the commissioner on down. So I invite you to listen to Feinbaum. As a matter of fact, Stoops talks on Thursday in the morning. We hopefully will have all that sound at noon. And then Stoops will be on with Feinbaum later in the day, unless they're flying home, which they probably are. Somehow, Stoops, I'm assuming, will be on Feinbaum because he always is. So just a little plug for Feinbaum, because I like listening to the interviews. It's terrific. I think the kid's name is Michael. Is it Tafe, T-A-A-F-E? Honestly, I've never heard of him. If you have a better way of pronouncing it, Jimmy, please interrupt me. What he did, and the video is even more powerful than the audio. He's one of the kids that they brought to SEC Media Days. Every school brings 3 to represent Texas. And rarely is there a bad kid among there. They're handpicked, that kind of thing. And it's beautiful. He has a tie. And I got emotional looking at it. He has a tie with all the young people's names who've passed away in that tragedy in Texas. Kudos to the person who made the tie. But, Jimmy, it's one of the more powerful things that I've seen in a while, with somebody saying, hey, we're thinking about you. We love you. And this really gives me hope for young people. It really does. Since I'm an old geezer, I'm always looking towards the younger people and where are our future leaders? And for that kid to stand up and do that, it really got to me. And the third thing was the All-Star game. And, Jimmy, I don't know about you, but I like how they ended it, because you can't play an All-Star game for 15 innings. Years ago they did. I forgot what the longest game was. It's not important, but you can't do it now because you're running out of pitchers on purpose, because you're trying to get everybody in, and you don't want guys who have to play 2 days later all of a sudden play 15 innings. I get it. I have. Matter of fact, when they made the change to this, I'm going, why didn't they do this a long time ago? So they did a little home run derby, and Schwarber won it for the National League. It was pretty cool. The other thing that I thought was really cool, there were 2 other things that stuck out. Number one, overall for me, was the tribute to Hank Aaron. Jimmy, I don't know if you saw it, but it was absolutely beautiful. It was just beautiful. The tribute to Hank Aaron, and going back 51 years when he hit that majestical home run off Al Downing to pass Babe Ruth. 714, it was just a beautiful thing. And the other thing is, and Jimmy, it was too long to send to you, and I'm sure you saw it, they did mic ups. And I've said this for years. The first time I saw it, I go, why the hell don't they do this all the time? I'm serious. And you could make it so that during a regular Reds game or a regular Yankees game or a regular Miami game, you can mic people up. Guys can still play the game. And you have to be respectful. You know, you don't want to mess with their concentration, but there's enough space in between. And I don't mean doing the whole 9 innings that way, but it's really stupid, incredibly stupid that they don't do it, because what are you doing? You're getting the fans involved in the TV game. You should do it for radio as well, by the way. You really should. I mean, people want to watch those things. So they mic'd up a lot of people last night. One of the most special mic-ups I've ever seen was Kershaw. The obvious hint is this could be his last year. He's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame the second that he's eligible to go in. Hall of Fame person, Hall of Fame player. And so he got to pitch 2/3 of an inning last night, and it was really cool. And so Schmaltzy on TV was trying to tell him what pitch to throw. And one time he said, hey, why don't you throw so-and-so? And Kershaw is such a nice guy. I don't even throw that pitch, which John Schmaltz should have known. Whatever, didn't make a big deal of it. He's not going to go no filter. Kershaw just laughs it off because that's what he does. And the way he said thank you to everybody. And the way that Dave Roberts, the skipper, said, no, that's your ball. You keep the ball. And his reaction to the teammates, and the way the teammates from other teams reacted to him. And the catch Kyle Tucker made in left field, sliding catch to help him out. It was beautiful. It was live theater at its best. Sometimes with the baseball people, they're just dumber than a box of rocks. They really are, with not understanding how to get more people involved. You can say, well, Cutler, guess what? Attendance has never been higher. Okay, Okay, but can you make it better? I love baseball. I love baseball. One of the best things they did was cut the clock down with pitchers so the games are shorter because it needed to happen. Before I go into another tangent, Austin Kearns, one of the greatest baseball players ever to come out of Lexington, first-round draft choice for the Cincinnati Reds. I think he played 11 years, something like that, in the big leagues. And I've always wanted to have Austin on. He's now head coach at in Jessamine County in baseball. I'm excited for him. I think he's got a lot to give. One of the best stories I ever was a part of was with Austin Kearns. And I guess I'll repeat it at 12:30, so I'll be quick this way. He was picked 7th in the first round. Super high pick. Now, you know what? I'm going to wait to tell it because it'll be at 12:30. It's 20 minutes later. But it's a great story. And it's not me. It's what he did. And the Reds picked him 7th. And the Reds were there for a special private showing after a game. And what he did was absolutely spectacular. I'll just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. Okay, Jimmy, I want your opinion on this. And I've heard Mike DeCourcy say this twice. And Mike is gracious enough to do our show a bunch. And I agree with part of his temperature, and I'm going to go a little further. Now, he says it's his opinion that the greatest basketball player of all time is LeBron James and not Michael Jordan. I still go with Bill Russell. He and I can argue about that, but that's neither here nor there. And he has a very interesting point, and I've considered this and still rejected it, but I'm thinking about it more. I'm going to take his point and go further, and I need to have him on to tell him this. So one of the things he says is, and he's absolutely right, when Michael Jordan played, Tony Kukoc, who's in the Hall of Fame, right? He was an international star. There were how many international stars when Jordan played? Were there 5? I don't think so. Jimmy, I don't think there were 5. If there were, I'm off by a couple. Okay? Point is this. Now, a huge chunk, as everybody knows, of the NBA is international stars. Nobody has complained, which is interesting, and I don't think they should, is that these international players are taking the jobs away from American college basketball players, because they are. But you know what? It's competition of the best. If you're good enough, you shouldn't have any quotas, which I think sucks. But I've never heard a story somebody saying about that. Never, ever, ever, ever. International guys are coming in. They're taking jobs away from Americans. There's a lot of guys in the summer league right now who 20 years ago would make the NBA. Some would be bench players. Maybe a few would have a better chance, not right away to be starters, if there weren't all these international players. I think it's great that the international players are here. The game is better for it. But the truth is, when I was a kid, 2 things were true. One, the coaching internationally was not as good then as it is today. It's not even close. What's happened is, and I don't know when it started, but clinics started going on with American coaches going overseas. You know, for example, Joby Hall went to Japan and ended up coaching in Japan. And I don't know the exact year it started, but decades and decades and decades ago, all of a sudden, coaches would make money doing clinics in different parts of the world, and they would share knowledge. And the Europeans, for example, took that knowledge, and you know what they did? They actually added to the game. They didn't get enough credit for that. I mean, think of all the great shooters that are in Europe now. Been going on for a long time. There's no question, the Euro step, there's no question in my mind that not only did European and all over the world basketball get better. I mean, come on, 20 years ago, who's going to say to be a basketball player in the NBA from New Zealand or Australia? Come on. Not only did they learn from America, but they put their own spin on it. In some ways, have actually improved the NBA. There's no question they've improved the NBA, not just in talent, but what they do. And back then, there was a stereotype that I even thought back then was BS. I didn't think there were that many who could have done it, but I thought there were more that could have done it. Let me give you an example. I have always believed, way before you saw the influx of baseball players from Japan, and there's a bunch of them in there now, and from different parts of the world, I always thought there were players that were good enough to play here, but it was deemed, they're maybe AAA ball, they're maybe AA ball, they're not good enough. And I thought it was a snobbery by Major League Baseball and the scouts to look down on different parts of the world. Now, I'm not saying there's a whole bunch of players in Netherlands or whatever, but in particular Japan. Because of their love of the game for such a long time. And I think it took too long for Major League Baseball to respect that. I really do. It's vivacious how they train. They train much harder than Americans do. And I still say this. Jimmy, I can't think of the kid's name. He's in his 20s. To me, it's a kid from Japan, the pitcher who got a really nice signing bonus. And I watched one of his workouts. I don't know if you can think of his name, fine. If not, fine. And I've talked about it before, but he doesn't lift weights and he's in unbelievable shape because he does all these body injuries. And it sure seems that the players from Japan don't get injured as much as the players from America because they train differently. And I've said this before on this show. If I'm running the Yankees, I'm not kidding. If I'm running the Reds, I always want to learn. If I'm running the Reds, I want to find out what the hell they're doing in training. There's no need for somebody to be as thick as, like, say, Stanton with the Yankees. There's other ways to do it because of the way you use your muscles. I think the strength for Stanton in New York has actually helped him, and I think the strength for him has actually hurt him. Elbow problems, this problems, that problems. Jimmy, how many times have you seen somebody come from overseas that they have an arm problem or these kinds of – not as many. Now, there's not as many players. They train differently. So I would have a thirst and a curiosity. What are you doing that we're not? I think more and more sports should train with full body exercises and less with weights. That's me. It's amazing how I surprise myself the tangents I go on. And I believe this wholeheartedly, and I've done some studying on this. And I'm telling you, baseball's behind, just like they were behind when I said decades ago that if it's me, and these teams are still not doing it properly. There's no doubt in my mind, Jimmy, if I ran the New York Giants, Buster Posey, who runs the Giants now, is a very progressive guy. I would absolutely, in the afternoon, I've said this many times in the last 25 years doing different parts of doing radio. You have all these people who come to America from outside of America. Many don't speak English. It's not very expensive. I would hire someone to teach these kids English. And if you show up for BP at 4 o'clock, or let's say it's 5 o'clock, at 3:30, you're going to do an hour of English classes. An hour every single day. I would even have one on the road. That might be too expensive for the minor leagues. So by the end of the summer, you can get around. And if you play minor league ball for a couple of years, your English could be decent. It will help you communicate with Americans. Jimmy, if I stick you, or if I go down, well, I don't have any talent, you did, and you stick me in Venezuela to play winter ball and I speak no Spanish, I'm going to be lost. I'll be lost. Well, these guys are lost too. My favorite story of all this is Tony Perez. And I think of Tony because when Doug Flynn did the show the other day, and I saw a picture of Tony, did he say Tony was 81 or 83 or something like that? Whatever it is, he looks great. And by the way, it wasn't just Doug saying it. That was my impression when I saw some pictures when the Big Red Machine had their 50-year reunion. It looks great. When Tony came here, he couldn't speak English, and he was all alone. And back then, in these minor leagues, there were a lot of diners. So when he went to a diner, he ordered the same meal all the time because it was the only word he knew on how to get food. He would order pie. And I know this is true. There's all kinds of great talent, potentially, that could have made the major leagues that went home because they were homesick. And they were homesick, and guess what? They didn't perform well enough. And to me, talent is a natural resource. How much would it have cost to help these kids who speak very little English, get them up to snuff so they're more comfortable in America? Then they can display their skills. Sometimes these sports people are they're stupid. They're just dumber than a box of rocks, and they're behind the times. All this started because of Mike DeCourcy with a great comment talking about how he likes LeBron James because of all the finals he played in. And when LeBron left the team, and he obviously did that tons more than Michael Jordan, that the team so often basically fell apart. And no, he didn't win the championships that Michael has done, but he's gotten to the championship game. And, and I've always believed that sometimes getting the championship game is just as good an accomplishment as winning the championship. I'm serious, because to get to that point was just a huge raise and elevation in the team. You don't get the ring. It's not the same applause. But how many times have you seen make it to the championship games? And guess what? You didn't think they were good enough. If there's such a thing as overachieved. It can be wonderful getting to the championship game. It's not the same thing as a championship, but it can be wonderful. And he's done it so many times. Now, I'm going to add the caveat to that. Here's where I want to see if you're with this, Jimmy. So when he says LeBron has to deal with the competition from all over the world, which is a huge influx of talent into the NBA, as everyone knows, and Michael Jordan did it. Babe Ruth didn't have to go against Satchel Paige. Satchel actually came along a little later. They would have crossed a little bit, actually, but that's not the point. Babe Ruth didn't go against Gibson. Some say the greatest catcher of all time. Some say. Would Babe Ruth have hit that many home runs if he had to face the Satchel Pages of the world in influx? I don't know. I'm going to guess no. Would he still hit a gazillion home runs? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And Babe Ruth was one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Would he have still been one of the greatest pitchers of all time? Yes. Would he still have led the world in home runs when he retired? Absolutely. You know, there was a year, Jimmy, I don't know if you noticed, he had more home runs than the rest of the American League. The teams combined. Think about that. It's crazy. It's really crazy what he did. But he didn't face Josh Gibson. He didn't face Satchel Paige. And so many great players in the Negro Leagues. There's no question there would have been a difference. And by the way, Babe Ruth would have liked to have played against them. Seriously. There's a whole lot of white players that would have loved to play against the black players. And there are a whole lot of guys who played baseball who were racist and didn't want him on the team even when Jackie Robinson came in. Jackie Robinson not only took crap from fans, he took crap from his own team. He took crap from other teams. He took crap with people coming in with those sharp spikes to try to take him out to hurt him. He took crap from umpires who wouldn't give him calls. It was awful. And so there's no question in my mind baseball would be different. Babe Ruth would still be Babe Ruth. But would he have hit 700 and plus home runs? Don't know. I'm going to guess no. I'm still going to guess he would have been number one by a ton. Does that make sense, Jimmy? Do you see that? If you want to say the influx of the stars in basketball from all over the world have made it tougher for today's American players, I think that's fair. Michael Jordan didn't have to deal with it. I still say Bill Russell, to me, is the greatest player of all time. What do you think about the comparison? It's a different analogy, but it's an influx of talent. That is the same. You couldn't have the guys from the Negro Leagues play against Babe Ruth and Michael Jordan. He had Tony Kukoc, but there was like no international stars. That was a big deal when Tony was signed. Oh, my God, he's the best player in Europe, so we got to have him there. And my thought was, what about the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth best players in Europe? Aren't they good enough to play in the NBA? They were. But they weren't tapped because of the snobbery of the NBA thinking, oh, he's an exception to the rule. We can take him. We can't take the other guys. And you know what? The NBA people were dumb, and I bet there's some executives who went back and said, we should have done it. How much of that do you agree with, Jimmy?
No, I agree with it. And it goes back to, like, when you were talking about Wilt being the greatest of all time, and I said the second guy off an NBA bench today could go back in the 50s and 60s and be the best player in the NBA. And I think it's the same thing, that the top tier talent, like the Babe Ruths, the Mickey Mantles, those guys were great back then, would still be great now. But the middle of the league, and same even when Jordan was played compared to LeBron now, the middle tier talent is not what it was in the 90s as it is in the NBA now. And I think part of that is the influx of the international talent.
I agree with most of that. The part that I don't agree with? A lot of folks don't realize the quota system that they had in the NBA about playing black players. There was a wink rule that you couldn't have more than two starters. For a long time, by the way, Jimmy, there was a wink rule which said you can only have so many black players on your bench. if I remember right, because Red Auerbach didn't give a crap. It's one of the reasons why Bill Russell loved him. I believe the Boston Celtics were the first NBA team to start 5 African Americans. And so I would disagree with that because there was no question there were guys on the bench in the NBA who were African American who were absolutely unequivocally sometimes a little better, sometimes tons better than some of the guys that's starting. So can you see where that's coming from?
Yeah, I can see that.
I get a pass for that.
Yeah, so, I still stand by that. A second guy off the bench today would go back in the 50s and probably average a triple-double.
Well, not a triple-double. Wait, it's okay for us to disagree.
The athleticism and the drills and everything. I mean, if you just take them now, not with everything that they had back then and they couldn't work out and the diets weren't the same, but you just take them there, the talent is exponentially different. Guys couldn't dribble with their left hand in the 50s. You just didn't see it. Now you've got guys dribbling just as good with both hands. Again, the elite of the elite, yes, but the middle of the league, no, you just didn't see that.
Unfortunately, that's a really good point about the guys dribbling. The dribbling today is much better, and that's what made Bob Cousy stick out because he really worked on his dribbling. And what he did back then would be, honestly, not a big deal today, but he was flipping behind-the-back passes and stuff like that when guys weren't doing that. Today, a lot of guys can do that, and it's different. So that's a very salient point. The skill level is better because they work on their game more. There's no question. There's no question about it. You'll concede me a little bit. Probably not much, though. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll concede you. So.
Yeah. Does it hurt?
Just a little. Yeah.
That sounds fair. It sounds more than fair, actually. Terry Page. Terry Page. Not a very good, a great licensed massage therapist. Terry Page. I'll see you later this week. 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. Check her out. Sometimes she's in Butler, Kentucky at the Absolute Salon and Spa in Butler. And most of the time she's here in Lexington, not too far from Lexington Catholic High. She is spectacular. Helped me tremendously. 859-373-0578. Please use my name. Austin Kearns. Honored and pleased that Austin Kearns is going to join the show. Coach Austin Kearns. Alan Cutler coming up with Austin Kearns on 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group.
I see somebody sideways. Hey, Austin.
What's up?
Hey, man. Oh, my gosh. You have white? Now you're making me feel old, dude.
I'm on my way to catch you.
Well, I'm really easy to catch. When I knew you well, I was slow, really slow. Now I'm really, 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 really slow. How you been? How's your family and all that?
I'm good, man. We're good. Just I got 3 boys. Got a sophomore to be in college. 18-year-old at West Jesmond, and then a 13-year-old at West Jesmond Middle School.
So you're running around.
Yeah, we're busy, man. How are you?
I'm well outside my eye, which is getting better. I was blind for a month. I woke up one day with a torn retina with holes in it. Just woke up with it. So I have had 2 surgeries. I'm on the mend. Other than that, I've been great.
Okay.
Basically eat organic.
We are back in 15 seconds. Here we go.
Too heavy. I eat tons less. I usually go 16
from your bank. That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Right.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, I honestly forgot 1 or 2 of these teams until I looked it up the other day. I got to be honest about it. Who forgets about the Reds and the Nationals? Not me. Reds, Nationals, Indians, Yankees, Marlins. Austin Ryan Kearns, born May 20th, 1980, hit 121 home runs, picked 7th in the first round in the draft about 1,000 years ago, who I've wanted to have on the show. Shame on me for not asking before, but then when I saw you're a high school coach, which I think is a beautiful thing, I asked you, you quickly said yes. And one, how the heck are you? And two, if I would have told you that you were going to, not that I was smart enough, Austin, I'm not that smart. If I would have told you when I was 17, you were going to be a high school coach, would you have laughed at me?
I don't know if I'd have laughed at you. Maybe just in a little good-hearted way, but man, it's been a while. I mean, I remember talking to you back in my high school days, and I've seen your show and what you're doing, and so obviously always happy to catch up with you. But it's funny how fast some of this stuff goes, and been coaching for a little bit, and happy to get back into it at the high school level now.
Let me share this story that was one of the fun stories I did that year and literally, honestly, over my career. Maybe you remember who you were playing. I don't remember. It was a high school playoff game, and you were at, I believe you were at Lexington Catholic High, and you guys won the game. This is back when you were pitching and hitting home runs and stuff like that. And the word went around, psst, 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 the Reds are here. And guess what? Just before the draft, Austin Kearns is going to just take batting practice just for them. I'm going, he's playing in the game. Batting practice speed isn't the same. Okay, I get it, but I want to see in games more. Fine. So I'm looking around, and basically everybody left, and we were the only TV station left. Let me tell you what Austin Kearns did. He didn't just hit a bunch of home runs. You hit the damn ball on the roof of the high school many, many times, and there weren't a lot of people there. This was late at night. It was a night game. I think it was after 11 o'clock, if I recall. Maybe you recall better than me. And we were all freaking out. And these are high school balls. These weren't new major league balls. And you're hitting on the roof. And very shortly after that, you were picked 7th. And and the Reds wanted you anyway, and they were going to pick you there anyway. But I just remember that display. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody hit the ball that far. I mean, like ever on a consistent basis. Do you remember that night?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about, and we did that a couple times my senior year in high school, where I would stay after a game and hit with a wood bat for some of the teams that had come to watch. But I think that maybe was a district tournament game, and I think it was after the game. I can't remember the details, but I do remember, being there late, and I remember you being there, and because I remember my parents wanting to get a tape of the news because you guys were still there, and we had it on, probably was VHS back then to
It was.
DVD now,
was.
and who knows what it is now, but yeah, those were good times.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun, and we were just amazed. Heck, I was in your house when you got the phone call from the Reds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're getting the phone call, and I remember your dad. He was sitting there, and he's grinning from ear to ear, and the whole thing. It was, woo! It was amazing. Do you think about playing in the big leagues much? Or you're going, that was great. I had a lot of fun, and you loved the game. It wasn't just about making money. You loved the game. You're going, I got kids. I got this. I'm coaching. I'm this. Do you hardly think about it a lot? I see you got a Washington hat on, so it's there somewhat.
Yeah, I mean it's a Washington hat, but that's our logo at West Jesmond. So that's kind of what I use for the West Jesmond stuff. I try to find a cool Washington Nationals hat that can kind of replicate West. So. No, but yeah, man, it's cool. Like you missed. I think if you ask any former player, what you miss more than anything is the relationships and the clubhouse and the hanging out with the teammates. But I think as we get older, I think that's part of what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to coach. We're supposed to pass on down what we've learned and try to help these younger kids and the next generation as they come up and help them develop as players and young men.
I would think this is a duh comment. Your credibility when you talk to these kids, they all know you played in the big leagues for, I think it was 11 years, something like that. You have to have instant credibility because of your success and what you did. Isn't it easier for kids to pay attention to you because you were at the big show?
I'm sure that carries a little more weight. There's still probably a handful of guys still playing that I played against. I'm kind of an old has-been when, they asked me about guys, is there anybody still playing that you faced? And I was like, yeah, I faced Aroldis Chapman. And they're like, oh, you faced Chapman? I was like, yeah, I faced him a few times. So I think you get a little bit of credibility with them knowing the level you played at, but I think the most credibility is just knowing that these young guys now, man, if they know you're invested in them and that you care about them and that you're in their corner, I think that carries the most weight. And just being honest with them, that's what I appreciated as a player. Is if I knew a guy cared about me and was going to be honest with me, whether what he told me was good or bad, whether I liked it or not, if I felt like he was shooting me straight, then I respected that.
Well, that's a wonderful comment. It really is, because you can't get everything good from a coach. If it is, it's just BS. But if you respect the person, you say, hey, you need to work on this, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, and you respect the person, you're going to pay attention. And actually, you're going to be thanking the person for steering you in the right direction. Yes?
100%. 100%. Like, just that's how I was as a player. Shoot me straight. Don't blow smoke in my face and then go say something else to somebody else. Like, if you don't think that I'm good enough, or I don't do this well enough, I'd rather you tell me so I can work on that, rather than just say, oh, you're doing great, and I'm really not. Like, it just, that's not how it works. So I think kids, you hear so much about the old school and the new school, and it's like, no, man, if kids know you're in their corner and you care about them, you can be honest with them, and that's the best route to take every time.
With the money that's going on today, do you wish you were 17 again?
It is. It's a little crazy, but yeah, I mean, it's a different day and age, but I wouldn't trade anything.
You got any memories? I know you and Dunn were close. The two of you, he hit some ridiculous. You hit some ridiculous home runs. He hit some really, really ridiculous.
Some more ridiculous ones.
Yeah, he really did. I'm just being honest.
I you don't have to tell me.
I don't think he got enough credit, and I don't think you did either. And he worse than you, to be honest, because I don't know. The guy hits 45 home runs, but he strikes out a lot, and I'd be going, what the hell's the difference? I don't care if he hit 260 or 250. How many runs did you drive in?
Right.
Batting average to me has always been ridiculously overrated. And the Reds fans were tough on Joey Votto. Gets the big contract. You need to hit more home runs. Well, this is what he is. He gets on base 40% of the time. That's unbelievable. And a great fielder and a great teammate. I mean, it took to the end of his career to be appreciated. And that's when I was doing sports talk. It would drive me nuts. Appreciate Joey Votto for who he is. And I think fans didn't appreciate you as much as they should have, but in particular, honestly, more Adam Dunn.
For sure. Adam was a little ahead of his time with how the game is valued now when it comes to on-base percentage, home runs. There's not as much care about strikeouts, and to Adam's credit, that always, the strikeouts bothered him, because if you look at his numbers coming up through the minor leagues and his first year or two in the big leagues, he was a guy that hit for a high average, and but still had the on base, still had the home runs, the power. So, and with Joey, the same thing. Like, different things were valued when we came up. Like, when we came up, it was more about average and RBIs and lower strikeouts. Where now it's not as much about RBIs and average, where it's more about on base percentage. They don't care about the low average. They don't care about the strikeouts. It's kind of a little bit where the game has changed. Different things are valued. So that's what guys kind of trend to, as far as from a hitting standpoint, where it is what it is, man. Like, they're sure, I would like to see more contact and higher averages, but I'm not running a team in the big leagues, but as far as Joey, like, Joey's a great player, and Joey, I heard some of the criticism, but, like, man, you got to appreciate what Joey was. Like, Joey was a great player, a great hitter. It's just, you can't have everything. Like, Joey's a great player. He's probably, I'm sure, got a good case for the Hall of Fame. So, you got to appreciate for these guys for what they are.
I think he has a great case for the Hall of Fame. Off the top of my head, I had to look it up, to be honest. I knew it was over 400 and it wasn't 500. But Adam Dunn hit 462 home runs. Off the top of my head, I can't think of another guy in the history of baseball with that many home runs who didn't get the love I thought he should have gotten. That's me.
Sure. And I think one thing that gets lost in it is Adam was a great teammate. And he he's playing 155 to 162 games a year. Like, he's a dude that he's going to post. He's going to be there every day, whether he's banged up or injured. Like, no one's going to know. He's going to play. So, it is what it is. Like, narratives can kind of get, taken and run with, but Adam, like I said, was little before. If he was playing now, he'd probably be getting way more way more money than he did then. Because,
oh my gosh,
that's what you see now. Is you see, we're sacrificing average for power and on base percentage and whatever it may be. But he's a awesome teammate, awesome friend. Like, couldn't ask for a better dude on your team.
If he was a free agent now, let's say in his late 20s, mid-late 20s, 400 million wouldn't be enough. I mean, I think he's better playing than Guerrero, who just got like 600 million, whatever the heck it was. Most fun you ever had in a uniform, your number one thing that you think about, something that gives you joy, maybe you're out in the field and you're messing around and boom, something hits you. Something that you did that just one of those things that just puts a smile on Austin Kern's face would be?
Man, there's a lot. Like, the only time I got to experience the playoffs in the big leagues was with the Yankees. That obviously is a cool experience. As far as like just on the field, I mean, there was plenty of times with the Reds, not only in the big leagues but minor leagues coming up. Played with a great group of guys who just awesome teammates, awesome friends, guys still keep in touch with almost on an everyday basis. There was a particular moment, and I think it was 2003 or 2004. We were playing the Braves, and Adam was in left, Junior's in center, and I was in right. And Gary Sheffield hit a ball, maybe the hardest ball I've ever seen hit a low liner to left, and Adam broke in on it. And then it was kind of like the, oh crap, like he didn't realize how hard it was hit. And then he tried to retreat, and this ball hit like his collarbone, his neck, and then went to the wall. And they've replayed this clip on MLB Network a few times. We always get a good laugh out of it because it's usually Sean Casey, the one that's on MLB Network playing it. And I just remember me and Junior probably laughed for about 2 innings in the field, like where we're bent over. I'm trying not to cry because I'm laughing so hard. And I can't even, after like 2 hitters, I can't even look at Junior because he's laughing so hard. And every time I'd look at him, I'd start laughing hard. So, just little moments like that throughout the year. There's stuff, but that's one that kind of jumps to the top of the list when I think about times when just, man, you talk about I think we were down big in that game, and then that happened, and it was just kind of like one of those deals through when you're playing up 162 and there's little moments that get you through those 162, especially when you're taking a butt kicking.
Man, you, Junior, and Dunn.
Yeah.
That was a great outfield. And that was a great outfield.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was, I remember the first day, it was in spring training. It was the year that Junior got traded to Cincinnati. And I was still in the minor leagues at the time, but a few of us went out to eat one night, and then we saw there was a few big leaguers there, and then Junior walked in, and I remember like just kind of like looking and then taking another look, and it was like a superhero walked in, like one of the Avengers or something. It was just like, man, that's Ken Griffey Jr. And so just to get a chance to play with him, and like such an awesome dude, great teammate, great friend, just an A+ dude, man. Like it was just grateful for a lot of the guys I got to play with, man. Just a bunch of great teammates.
My understanding, he did, and you did the same thing, that he would take rookies out and get them suits and show them how to how to act and pick up tabs and stuff like that. And you and Dunn end up doing I don't know if it's because of Junior, but you would do the same thing. A younger guy comes along and you like him, you say, hey, kid, come here.
Yeah. Yeah, him and Junior and Larkin and Barry Larkin kind of took us under their wing when we were the young guys, and kind of showed us the way you're supposed to do things. And that was part of it. Like, you go to New York every year, and there's Super Joe guy there who's got a lot of suit stores. Like, you go to his store, and they'd get you, take care of the young guys. And so that's part of, you just pass it on down, keep doing it. And just one of those cool things, man. Like, you just, what you learn, you go about your things the right way, and then when you become kind of the older guy or veteran guy, you pass it on down to the next generation.
You think kids today have the love of a game? And I'm not trying to be an old fogey, because I am. But you see kids today have the love of the game the way kids growing up did before, or the kids today, and this is not negative to kids, I promise you, but they get so many distractions with the cell phones and this and the video games and the other stuff. To me, it's just different. I'm not saying it's bad. I wish there was more love for baseball, although attendance is at a peak, which is great. But it seems like it's just not the same as it was.
I think kids do at their core. I just think it's harder for them because everything now is so individually based. From the time they're in youth baseball, working their way up with social media, with showcases and whatever it may be, it's all individual based and it's not team based. So I think, you got showcases from the time they're in youth baseball all the way up to they're 18 years old. And I think that's part of it is, there's such an emphasis on analytics and numbers now, where and it's hard, man. A big league game, you look in there and there's dudes in the dugout just looking at iPads, going through stuff, and that's kind of the message that we try to spread with the high school kids is like, look, just do what you need to do, what dictates to win this game today. Like, play baseball, do what dictates to win the game. Everything else will take care of itself.
You wish when you played, there were iPads that okay, this guy strikes you out and you notice something and you get to face him again, that would give you a little tip to help you, that kind of thing. Do you wish you had those things, or no?
Not really. I mean, we had video rooms when I was once I got to the big leagues, there's a video room. So if you wanted to go watch something, you could. But like, we were always taught, like, never take your eyes off the game. Like, you can be having a conversation with your teammate next to you, but keep your eyes on the field. Like, always keep your eyes up, ears open, obviously, and you just learn by watching and listening. Where that's the thing for me to now is like, we're trying to keep these kids, like, just watch the game, learn from what you see. You can't trust an iPad or these, whatever numbers are being spit out all the time. Like, if you do what it takes to win a baseball game, then that's going to be plenty enough.
One of the things that bothers me, and I'm guessing from what you're saying bothers you, you got skippers like Francona going in the Hall of Fame. That seat was ready for him a number of years ago with good reason, and a great guy. I actually got to know him a little bit in Pittsburgh 1,000 years ago. Not that he would remember, but he was that friendly back then. That's just the way he always was, the way he was brought up. And what I don't like is, not everything is on a number, because numbers, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. That a guy like Francona has a feel for the game, has a feel for, maybe this guy is hot, or okay, he's not good against left-handing pitching, but the last week or so, he's been hitting left-hand, and it doesn't always work. Nothing always works with a move, but there isn't enough trust with the skipper of the teams anymore. And I'm not saying they're all puppets. I think in some cases they are, but I don't think they're trusted enough to do their job, because these men have been in the game for their entire lives, and there are some really smart guys that have to be reserved and not do what they think they're doing. I think they're making a decision. Well, I want to do this, but the stats say this, and what should I do? It's like internal constipation. Is that too crazy?
No, I think you're spot on, man. Like it's the numbers, all the analytical stuff can be a cop out at some point where you can take those numbers and say, well, this said this, it didn't work, so it's not my fault, right? Like it's when you're a manager or a coach, like there's something to be said for the dudes that got a gut feeling and a good grasp on who their guys are. I mean, you may have in the big leagues, you may have a 230 or 240 hitter, but he's a clutch hitter. Like, hey, big spot, like we trust this guy. Like just because it's right on right, we're not going to pinch hit a lefty because he's hitting 220 or 230. Like he's a guy that's not scared of the moment. Like there's no analytic stat for uh, dudes that are scared for the moment or are not scared for the moment. Like that stuff matters. Like what you have inside of you matters. Now it's not. There's a place for the analytical stuff and the stats, but it's not everything. That's how I feel about it.
I agree. Like use the stats to your advantage, but then trust the manager
right
to make a decision. Right. The problem is when the manager is wrong, they say, "Oh, you know what you're talking." Well, the analytics are wrong very often too. I mean, it's stats. It's not the be all end all. And I think it put some extra pressure on managers that they don't need. Not that I'm concerned about the managers.
Well, sure, and
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and obviously, and like baseball is a game of failure, no matter what the stats say and the analytics say. Like,
yep.
Okay, like a guy's a 250 hitter where you're going to pinch hit so you can get a left on right matchup. So what's that? I mean, you're still going to fail more than you're not. Like it's kind of the stuff us old school guys. It's just like, man, like you got to go with your gut and who your guys are. Like it's tough. It's a game of failure. It's not like you can match up where you got a 70% fail rate and now you got a 20% fail rate. That's not realistic.
Agree. What do you think of the Reds?
It's a talented group. So it's a talented group. They, hopefully Hunter Green gets healthy. They've got great young pitching, super talented group of kids. I said it last year. I did a Q&A with Marty Brenneman up in Cincinnati last summer, and we both felt the same way. It's like if you're gonna make a move, now's the time to make a move because you got a lot of young kids under control as far as salary wise. So if you're gonna try to make a move or spend a little money, now's the time to do it. Obviously, if Hunter Green gets healthy, that's a big thing. Probably still need a little more veteran leadership from the player standpoint because you got a lot of young guys trying to figure it out together, and that'll be a good thing for them in the long run. But if they could add a piece or two to kind of help them through that, guys that have been there, I think that would be a good thing.
This is the best young set of pitchers I've ever seen the Reds have. Not only the minor leagues, but major leagues, and I never thought they would have this. Their startings are really good. I wouldn't have started Martinez, that's me, and I would have traded him when he was hot, and he's supposed to be a great guy, and that's whatever, but there's a guy in the minor leagues I would have already brought up. This is where now, we haven't talked in years, but the truth is I think there was always a trust between the two of us, even when you were young. I thought you trusted me. So I'm going to say something now, and please tell me I'm an idiot, I'm wrong, no filter, because you played the game and I didn't. You ready?
Yeah.
This is a big theory of mine. Drives me out of my freaking mind. There was a thing on somebody put it up. Greg Maddux once had a complete game through 78 pitches. How that's humanly possible, I don't have any idea. And you know what he did when it got tight? He would throw even easier. So instead of an 87-mile-an-hour fastball, he'd throw it 84 because he wanted to get under that exact spot. I go to Hunter Green. And by the way, the first time, and I've said this many times on my show, first time I saw him, and even went, oh my gosh, what a mature young man. Smart, thoughtful. I mean, it was kind of like on the cover of Sports Illustrated, couldn't be calmer and cooler. What a great talent. Here comes the but. It's not just Hunter Green. I don't think the human body was made to throw 102, 103 miles an hour. Though I looked at the kid from Milwaukee last night, he's throwing 102, and it's so smooth. I'm going, maybe I need to amend my theory for somebody like this. I mean, the ball's just coming out of his hands, and it's 102 miles an hour. The point is this: I think in a lot of cases, now Hunter Green's a big, strong man. I understand he trains properly, and he's doing a lot of right things. There's no hidden message here. But his body is breaking down already. He's just a young man. He's got all the talent in the world. He can be an all-star forever if he was healthy this year. I thought he'd be one of the candidates for the Cy Young Award. That's how much I like his talent, and he's learned how to pitch. But if he throws 97, 98 instead of 102, the torque on his body, now he's hurt his groin twice. And then he had this arm thing and this arm thing. Sometimes I think these guys are throwing with such torque, it hurts their careers when, if you pitch a little better, can you get the guy out at 97, 98? Do these guys sometimes throw too hard? Please tell me I'm out of my mind, and I'll stop this theory. But I look at some of these guys going, with all the surgery and stuff, can you throw just a little easier so you don't put the torque on your body? Am I nuts?
No, you're not. You're not nuts. It's like it kind of going back to the hitting, what we were talking about. It's what's valued nowadays. Like at a young age, whether these kids are coming out of high school or college, what's valued is velocity and spin rate or whatever may have you. And when we were coming up, it was command first. You will learn velocity as you get older and stronger. And same with hitting. We were supposed to hit for average, learn how to hit for average first. Your power will come later. So now everything's kind of flipped, where we need velocity and spin rate and power and exit velocity to be at a premium when these kids are 17 and 18 years old, where it used to be the opposite. So I think that's one thing. Hunter, to me, like he's got good mechanics. It's not max effort. It comes out good. Obviously, he's been nicked up, so that gets your attention. Usually when I'm looking at pitchers, like, can you command your fastball? Like, if you can command your fastball on both sides of the plate and you're throwing high 90s, then you're going to be successful, even if the secondary stuff is just okay. It doesn't have to be great. So I get what you're saying, because I think max effort, especially from starters, is where you kind of hold your breath a little bit. But also that's what's being valued. Like that's what these teams are looking for, is the numbers, is the velocity, the spin rate. And I think that's where you get in trouble, man. Like it's just, starters are valued now on going max effort for 5 innings. It wasn't like when Justin Verlander, when I was in Cleveland, like Verlander would be throwing 92, 93 in the first 3 innings. And then when he got to the 5th to the 8th or 9th, it's 97, 98, 99. Like he's pitching with all of it. And then he would increase as he went up. Now it's, how many times do you see a starter is not allowed to face the lineup the 3rd time through? So
which is crazy. Like, oh no, the 3rd time it's going to come up. We better get somebody warmed up to get him out of the game. The world's going to come to an end. It drives me nuts.
Yeah. So it's not. I don't put it on the players so much, because it's what's being valued in the game. Like that's what's being valued by the time they're in high school to now when they're drafted and in pro ball, and it's a somewhat of a fine line. Like I kind of look at kids that are getting drafted or pro ball, like Hunter Green to me is an easy mover. Like he's got really good mechanics. It's not max effort. Other guys like, dude, if he's moving around easy, then, a good chance he's going to stay healthy. He's been nicked up, whatever. But in the long run, man, it's just, it's a deal where it's just, from my standpoint, I feel like kids are performing and trying to do what is valued now. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the right answer in the long run.
Yeah, and I agree. It's valued. Agree 1,000% what you're saying. But I'm looking on the green and going, this is a young man who's got everything. He really does. Represent the team the right way, be a leader. He respects. He came back from his first All-Star game, and I saw an interview, and I remember who it was, but he was so appreciative how the older pitchers took him underneath his wing and were explaining stuff to him and how much he appreciated it. When I see a young man who appreciates that kind of thing, makes me root for him like crazy. And he's such a great talent. And it's not just the groin now a second time. He's had other things. I just think it's sad because I think he's a great talent. And I think he could do wonderful things for himself and the Reds or wherever he ends up. That's just me.
Yeah, no doubt. Like the year he got drafted, I was at the draft that year. I was the Reds representative the year he was the pick. So I was there and, met him, just shook hands and, exchanged a couple words, met his mom and dad, but you could tell like super respectful kid, great parents. Like you knew this kid's made the right stuff. So obviously an easy kid to cheer for.
Yeah.
And hope for nothing but health and success for him. It's just like I said, man, it's what's valued nowadays is different than what was valued back when I was coming up. And he's a probably the biggest part of that future. Maybe he's I'd say he's probably 1 and Ellie's 1A. But you have a number 1 and Hunter Green's a number 1 on the mound, which those don't come around too often, and you got him for reasonable control with the deal he signed. Like you've got a chance to be special right now because you've got a lot of dudes under control from a salary standpoint.
So what I'm getting from our conversation, Austin, I appreciate your time. First, it's just nice catching up. The beauty of the show for me is catching up with people that I hadn't talked to in a long time. It's not an interview. I'm too old to do interviews. It's a conversation. So here's my synopsis, and I've got one more. Can you handle one more question?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so here's my synopsis of our conversation. You got some white in there, but you don't have like the white that I have. Okay, so here's how I derive this conversation. You're old school, which I respect, by the way. Okay, but I'm old school. Is that fair?
For sure. I'm old school too. There's new school stuff and you got to adapt as you go along. But I think the old school values is still what plays at heart.
I agree. Well, I was, when I defend when I was doing 700 WOW in Cincinnati while I was working TV here, I would defend Votto all the time. And a lot of times people get ticked to me, like, me well enough, like I care. The guy's getting on base 40% of the time. Leave him alone. Gee, if there's a guy on second base, what does he do? He chokes up on the bat even more because he just wants to get a line drive base hit running in. Why don't more? I mean, I love Votto, and I heard he was a great team and all that. Okay, here's where you're going to disagree with me.
All right.
I'll bet a cup of coffee you're going to disagree. You ready? So, you know Hal McCoy, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Hal does the show all the time. I love Hal. If you're on Facebook, check out his column. He's still right. He's 83, 85. I should know. He's done the show a million times. He writes columns every day, still, even though he's legally blind. If you're on Facebook, you need to. He's just wonderful. He said it before me. If there's a more exciting player in baseball, Elio de la Cruz, I don't know who it is. He's got to learn when to run and not run because he just runs through. I mean, he was thrown out trying to do an inside the park home run about 2 weeks ago when he was out by a lot. There's a temperature he still has to get. Point is this. I don't think he's a very good shortstop. And I would put him in center field. And Hal said it before me. He doesn't make the average play. He makes this unbelievable spectacular play. He could be one of the great center fielders in baseball. And now, Mickey Mantle, by the way, my hero, when he was playing in Joplin, Missouri, the line is that the people wouldn't sit behind the first base because he kept on throwing the ball in the stand so much. It's probably an exaggeration. And so they moved him to the outfield. I love Ellie. If you don't love Ellie, you got a problem. I mean, enthusiasm, what he does, but he's not a shortstop. Would you move him to center field? You're going to go ahead and tell me I'm out of my mind.
No, I mean, honestly, like I try to watch when I can. So I don't see on an everyday basis. I don't see it. It's it's a tough question, honestly, because I don't see it on an everyday basis. I would say, obviously, the biggest thing, if you're making routine plays, you're good. what you're saying, the biggest probably comp to that is Fernando Tatis is now a right fielder, where he was a shortstop when he came up, and they're both electric dudes, can just light the stadium up with anything they do.
Right.
I don't know, I I don't know the organization well enough. Like who's going to play short if Ellie doesn't?
McLean.
Yeah, I mean, then who plays second and who play?
Lutz.
And then so you still got Marte at third.
Yep, and he's going to be replaced by a guy named Stewart.
Yeah, the kid. Yeah, he was in the Futures game, right?
In Futures games, they just moved him to AAA, and Barry Larkin has taken him underneath his wings, has some boxing for coordination and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
He's been training with Manny Machado for like 8 years, and Manny says he's my kid, and he's been taught all kinds of things. He has baseball maturity at a young age because of the people who have helped him out.
Okay,
and so I don't know if they're going to call him. First of all, let's see what he does in AAA. And I don't know if they want to wait till next year so they don't have to pay him so much because they want to wait till, another year they can pay him less. But he's absolutely, unequivocally, and a lot of these guys don't work out. This kid is absolutely the third baseman of the future.
So here's probably the couple things I would think on that is that Ellie's going to be, I don't know how far he is from free agency.
Is it 28, 29? I think.
I'm not sure, but his price tag's probably way higher as a shortstop than it will be an outfielder. So it may be that's probably one issue from his side of things is that he's going to get a lot more money being considered a shortstop. The other thing I would say is that I would trust Tito. I would trust Tito as far as with his credibility and his relationship with everyone. And, like Tito said, he wouldn't have come out of retirement to coach this or to manage this team if he didn't think they had a chance to win. So I would trust Tito in that regard is he's gonna put the team out there that gives him the best chance to win and for this team to get to the playoffs.
I agree with 90% of that, except I don't think it's Tito's decision. I think that decision was made by Nick Kroll, the president of the organization.
You may be right. I hope Tito's got more pull than that.
He actually does have my understanding it's a lot of pull, but not that much pull. I would bet a cup of coffee on that, but that's neither here nor there. Hey, this was lovely. Before the end of the summer, can we just BS about baseball again?
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Forgetting about you doing my show, which I really appreciate, which I do. It's just nice catching up because I'm telling you, I had that night when you hitting the balls on the roof in my head. It was a lovely memory for me, better memory for you. But to get a story like that when you're seeing the pure gold of a local kid. Sorry, you were a kid back then, and I'm an old guy now. But a local kid who did something that special and stuff like that. I actually got to see in Yankee Stadium one time. I was home on vacation. You were playing left field, and I'm with my friends, and we're in the cheap seats. I can't afford to sit, down there. You know how expensive those seats are. And they said, "Why don't you go down and say hi?" No, the guy's playing left field. I'm not going to go down. Yeah, I'm going to be an idiot. Hey, Austin, remember me? I did a story with you when you were in high school. So my friends were laughing. You need to go down. No, and my friends were calling me shy. No, the guy's playing left field for the Yankees. What am I going to do?
That's great.
It was a thrill watching you play left field, so that it was a nice kick for me.
No, I appreciate it, man. It was great to hear from you the other day and getting to catch up. I always enjoyed talking to you.
Hopefully, before the playoffs, we'll do this again. Hey,
for sure.
Hey, congratulations on taking over West Jess. The kids are lucky to have you, and you have knowledge to share, and it's good for you and it's good for the kids. So good for you.
Looking forward to it, Alan. I appreciate the time.
Thanks, Austin. This was a lot of fun. Jimmy, this was great. This was just really great. This was a special thing. Because Jimmy, he was such a great kid who happened to be a Studley baseball player. Here's the only we didn't get into it. It's not that big of a deal, but he could really pitch too, by the way. Guess who was their ace pitcher?
Him.
Yeah, and guess what? He threw hard. The other thing, when he played the outfield, he not only had a hell of an arm, but it was accurate. He was a really good fielder. I mean, he had one of those, what I would call old school arms in right field. Think about it. Kearns, Jr., and Dunn.
It's a pretty good outfield to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is Junior never got enough love for being the great teammate that he was and taking care of everybody. If he was your friend, he was your friend. Loyalty off the charts. You know this. He was in the clubhouse as a little kid. When his dad was playing with the Reds. All those young kids were in the clubhouse all the time with their dads and stuff like that. To being around that, so that was great. Thank you, Austin. Appreciate it. Quattro Volvo, Quattro Cadillac, Quattro Subaru. Check them out. Check them out. What they do is great. And their service, fast, friendly service. The Volvo, take it down the road. Legendary safety meets exceptional design. It's spectacular. The Cadillac, we've got one. The American symbol of elegant horsepower. The Subaru, I think a Subaru and lasting forever. Woo! And they've upgraded with the technology and all kinds of things. Subaru, reliable, take it in the mountains. I've got some people I know in Colorado have Subarus, and they take it around the mountains and that kind of stuff. Quattro Cadillac, Quattro Cadillac, the Quattro family of dealerships. They've donated to over 50 local charities and events. So check them out. QuattroCadillac.com, QuattroSubaru.com, QuattroVolvo.com. My partner in Cut to the Chase, Dr. John Wong, coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group.
Doc, you there? Hey, I apologize for being a little late. But, Austin was great. I don't know if you were listening. Can you hear? I don't think he can hear.
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Let's see.
There you go. How's that?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. He just came on.
Oh, it took a little bit longer.
I don't know. It seems like I've got to press a few extra buttons this time around. So that's always dangerous.
Yes. Want to play a clip. Okay, do this. Play Arch 1, come back to me, and then I'm going to say hi to Doc and to say, Doc, I want to play this. And then, because both these bites are short, we'll play clip number 2 and we'll start talking about it. So, Doc, it's going to be actually, instead of a Kentucky guy, I was going to play this in the first half hour, but I just went on a crazy tangent. Shocking. I kind of really like what I did in the first half hour. I really was in left field and right field.
So you just want to do the first clip from Arch coming out of the break, and then when I come back to you, then have 2 and 3 ready.
Yes.
Sounds good. We are back in 15 seconds.
Doc, you good on time?
Yeah, I'm fine. Take your time.
All right, here we go.
And I'm going to want you to, actually, I'm going to play all 3 quick.
W223CV, Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington, and LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
I feel like I'm a pretty normal guy. I like to hang out with my buddies, play golf. I take football pretty seriously, but other than that, just a regular guy.
It was amazing the amount of people that are following Arch Manning around now that he's the guy at Texas. We're going to introduce my partner in Cut to the Taste, John Wong from Nolan Media, and now 8 books he has out. And I want to play these 2 clips. And Doc, I want you to then introduce you properly to respond. And so he sat for 2 years. And one of the things he said was, look, if I want to leave, I would have left. This was a school for me. I liked the education. I wanted to be here. It was tough not playing, but he wanted to be there. And he was asked, what did you do in the offseason to improve? And he said, I wanted to improve, clip number 2, as a leader.
As much as it wasn't always easy. Those 2 years, I kind of feel like I got a lot of respect from the team, and now being more of a vocal leader, they know that it's coming from a place of love, and when I get on someone, they know I'm not just being a turd.
Love that. That is just so real. Last thing, and I get why. Look, reporters are desperate, and I'm using that word on purpose, and I don't blame them. I'm not being negative towards reporter. What's different about your life? We need to find more about you, that kind of stuff. So somebody says the obvious, think about it. You got all the Mannings, grandfather, and then the uncle, and the father, and this and that, and the other, all the great athletes and stuff like that. What's Thanksgiving dinner like? To some, this would be disappointing, but I love this answer. What was Thanksgiving dinner like when you grew up?
Growing up, it was fun. Watching football, it's pretty much like every other family. Watch football, eat a lot, maybe go outside and wrestle. I don't know. It was pretty basic, nothing special.
I loved it. And by the way, he said he doesn't care about the media. He wasn't being negative. He just doesn't care. He's just there to play football. This young man is about to take over college football. Dr. John Wong, my partner in Cut to the Chase, now with 8 books out, and your latest is called
Whining for Posterity, Lessons in Life, Sports, and Other Things Worth Complaining About. There's something for everyone in this book.
What do you think of Arch Manning?
You're probably asking the wrong guy, because I am the absolute opposite of Arch Manning. I'm pinch hitting for you today, Alan. And because I was just sitting around doing nothing, I can't imagine what it would be like to have the pressure and the intensity and the scrutiny of somebody like Arch. You had Todd Lanner on yesterday. I'm the opposite of Todd Lanner. I'm not out there doing photo shoots or modeling swimsuits. I'm laying out by the pool just listening to Alan Cutler's show. So I have no earthly idea what it would be like to be Arch Manning. What do I think of him? I think we need people like him, the people who have grown up in the spotlight, the people who are talented enough to be able to walk his talk. I think he's exciting for the game. I can't wait to watch him, but as to be just a regular guy, I don't know. That's a little bit hard for me to believe.
Well, you're a regular guy when you go play golf with your buddies, and I think we'll see, but I think he'll be able to handle pressure because he was around it his whole life, so he was used to how these things are going to go. I'm guessing he's going to handle pressure in a great way. Let me explain what Doc is saying. You know who you are today?
Who am I?
Smokey Burgess.
I think you've actually asked me that once before.
I think I did, and you don't remember.
I should know the answer to that, but I can't come up with it right away. But I've got ChatGPT right next to me.
I'll explain.
I can type it in and be an expert, but I'll let you go ahead and tell the audience.
When Smokey Burgess in his prime, he couldn't run. Okay. And he lasted forever in the major leagues. He was towards the end of his career, he got really, 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 really heavy. But he could do one thing. He was a great pinch hitter. And they kept him around for years because he was such a good hitter. And if he got a base hit, he immediately, even if they had to have a pitcher run for him, they pitch ran for him all the time. And so, it's the first time this has happened to me with 2 guests in one show. Seriously. So, I mean, I've been so lucky, and it was just funny circumstance. Chip Rupp was going to do the show, and he sends me a text yesterday, and he says, "Hey, I've got this big meeting at 1:00. I can do the show. It'll be crazy. Can you get somebody else?" I said, "Yeah, no problem. We'll do it some other time. All good." So then I contacted A.W. Hamilton, and I asked him to come on last week. And he said, "Alan, I'd really love to do it, but I got camp. Would you ask me again?" Absolutely. So then I text AW, and he says back he'd love to do the show. And then 5 minutes before I called you up, he says to me, "Alan, you're going to be mad at me. I forgot that I'm taking my kids to the water." He said, I really can't do it. Can we do it some other time?" So I said, "Hey, no problem." He said, "But tell one of your kids I want them to push you in the water." So I'll ask AW. AW is great. I'll ask him next week. And that's when I called you, didn't text you, and you said, "Would you be a pinch hitter?"
And as a good friend, I said, absolutely right away. I'm always available for you, Alan, no matter how much you tell me I have bad takes, how much you abuse me on the show. I am here for you.
Oh, wait a second. Jimmy, I know you to be a fair person, even though you're biased towards Dr. John Wong and you're biased towards anybody but me. And I get that. So there's a slant here. Doc has done the show. Have you done the show 20 times?
I've been on there a lot.
A lot.
But my point is.
Wait, no. Hang on. Jimmy, do you recall me abusing Dr. John Long on the show?
It depends.
How many times, Jimmy, has he told me that he couldn't disagree?
Would you let him answer?
And that it's the dumbest thing that he's ever heard.
I don't want anybody to hear what you're saying. I'm stepping on you on purpose. Would you allow Jimmy to say something?
Other than Sean Woods, I think I'm probably second on the abuse list. Would you agree with that, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It all depends on what you term abuse is, but yeah, at least once every time that you've come on, he says exactly what you just said, Doc.
Well, unfortunately, that's probably true because I do have bad takes, and sometimes it is probably the dumbest thing he's ever heard. What he doesn't realize is that sometimes Alan Cutler is the outlier, and some of his takes are way out there. And you don't dispute that, Alan. You're the first to kind of no filter yourself.
Oh, if I think I'm wrong. But there are a lot of times when you don't understand my take because you don't understand sports the way I do. And now I'm sounding like an arrogant blank, which I am.
That is absolutely true. I don't live sports like you. I agree. I didn't make a career out of it. I do it mainly for enjoyment. So I think maybe that's why our banter can be productive sometimes because there are a lot of people out there listening who are just like me.
Doc, I started studying sports in the 1950s.
Yeah. I know.
It's true.
Listen to the radio, Yankees fan all your life. You know all about playing with Larry Brown out there on the beach that day. I've heard all those stories. You have to realize that. I know you, Alan.
Okay. All right. So to me, Texas is a team to beat, not just because of Arch Manning in the SEC, but they've done obviously a hell of a job recruiting. I don't know the names of these kids at Texas. I don't. I mean, I've now recently read a little bit in the last 24 hours. I'm not going to read about all these teams. I'm just not going to do it. But it seems to me the third and fourth string tailback, and I'm not disrespecting the Kentucky kids. I'm just saying it seems like the third or fourth string tailback at Texas is better than the first string tailback at Kentucky, and we don't even know who that is. It's going to be tailback by committee. And when somebody says that, that usually means you don't have a great tailback. If you have a great tailback, there's a one, and the other guy rests that. So it's like when they say, oh, we're going to use the two quarterback system. You don't have one. If you have one, there's no such thing as a two quarterback system 99% of the time. So I think Texas is a team to beat, and I think he's taking over the world. And I don't know if you saw the video, but Arch Manning just walking up to the podium. There were so many cameras there following him. It was crazy. Not like it was in the old days because there fewer people go to the SEC media days today than back then. And a lot of companies won't spend the time and money, and a lot of companies say, hey, it's online. We can get all the information. So it's not what it used to be. And I get why financially. And, for example, Mark Stoops is talking tomorrow. Okay, we should have all of Mark Stoops tomorrow on the show. I don't have to go to Birmingham. Sean will take care of it for me, pass it to Jimmy, and then we'll have it. So why go down and spend all that time, effort, and money in Birmingham? Point is this kid is about to take over the Southeastern Conference and maybe America when it comes to football. That's when I played it. Do you think I'm hyping the kid up too much?
I don't think so. And I think name recognition wise, he's probably maybe the face of college football this year. Would you agree? We're old enough to remember his grandfather. One of my favorite and most lasting memories of Kentucky football was in Stall Field when Ole Miss came up here with Archie Manning and Kentucky beat him. I think it was John Ray's team beat him 10-9. It was a super upset. Dave Roller, those guys. Some of those things stick with me. And when I think about where Kentucky football has gone over all those periods, when you mentioned about the third and fourth string talent and other schools being able to match them, that's pretty been consistent throughout the years. I think Kentucky's first team has always been strong over the course of time. There have been a few seasons where it hasn't been up to par, but a lot of times those good Kentucky teams, that first string could compete with anybody in the SEC. So I don't think we should downplay them from that standpoint. I don't think it should be a complete write-off.
I'm not writing the team off. Actually, I'm I think, more optimistic than most people about Kentucky football, believe it or not.
Yeah. So if you were to go down in person and ask Stoops a question, what actually would you ask him? Because I agree with you. Nowadays, it's so easy just to hit the replay button and be able to soak in all the questions and all his answers. But the one disadvantage of not being down there, and I regret not being down there, is that you're not able to ask him these direct questions.
I would ask him the key for the season, see what he says. Now, I will tell you, I think the key to the season, you ready for this? Here, and I don't know if they can improve on this. Quarterback got killed last year, not only with sacks, but hits. And they turned the ball over way too much. And I think you can do a better job of controlling turnovers than they did. Okay, I don't care if you have a 5-star at Texas and a 3-star at Kentucky. You've been lifting weights basically the same amount of time. The training is a lot more similar than I think a lot of people realize. Just because you're Texas, that doesn't mean their training is that much better than Kentucky. That's a bunch of BS. It might be, but not because it's Texas, Kentucky. And their turnovers destroyed them. Turnovers is something that a mediocre football team, I'm not saying Kentucky's mediocre, I'm not saying what it is actually, but a mediocre football team can control turnovers at times more so than it's given credit for. And if Kentucky does a much better job on turnovers, and more so, it'd be great if you can take the ball away. I get that. But I'm talking about giving the ball up. Giving the ball up in protection, they sucked last year. And had they been, I'm not talking the best in the league, had they been middle of the road, they probably would have won a couple more games. And I do think the line's going to be better. What I keep on saying, I don't know how much better. I think Pete will be really good. I think the kid from Arkansas will be really good. And the other guy starts with a W. I can't pronounce his name. All three are better starters than the starters they had last year. There's no question about it. Are they good enough? I don't know.
And you know what Stoops would say to answer that question. We've heard it for 12 straight years. You know, he's going to talk about execution, performing on game days, the same as they focus in on practice days. And so that's not going to be anything new coming out of his mouth.
And that's why it doesn't make a difference that I'm not down there, because he's not going to tell me a damn thing. And I'm not ripping Mark Stoops. So when you say regret being down there, regret being what? Why? You know, the only thing would be is if you can get a player one-on-one on the side, and get to know them over the course of time, like I used to be able to do and used to be able to do, that's totally different. But when you have players brought to a podium and it's a big gang around and you can ask one question here, one question there, you don't get to know the players. You don't. And I can watch all the sound online. So going down there is absolutely superfluous. It's with the amount of time you have to do to put down there, it's a waste of time.
And a lot of times, especially with your home team, it's boring because you've got a lot of regional and national reporters there rehashing some of the old issues and questions that you've already asked locally. So you end up wasting a lot of time just listening to Stoops repeat some of his answers.
All right, Jimmy, would you cue up clip number 3 of Reed Shepherd from the other day and give me a thumbs up? Reed has been playing wonderfully well, as I think everybody know, in the summer league. One game when he had 28 points, he also had 3 blocks and 4 assists and that kind of stuff. And so one of the things that he talked about was, I'm going to play 2 clips for you, almost back to back, and then I want you to respond. Clip number 3 talks about what he did in the offseason. Most of it people would guess, but part of it I think people would not guess. Clip 3.
I think the biggest thing this summer was getting in the weight room and defensively, just working on defense. Like, we had probably a 2 to 3 week stretch, and my workouts were straight defense. Like, I loved it. I wasn't touching the basketball the first 40 minutes. It wasn't very fun, but, you know, some things, we got it done. So, like, just working on that stuff, you know, still getting up shots and ball handling and all that, but really just working on being stronger and getting more physical.
Now, to me, when you have a kid work on defense for 40 minutes. I've never heard of anybody doing that in the NBA. That doesn't mean somebody hasn't done it. We haven't heard about it. But he worked on his defense for 40 minutes and not touching the ball. That's not good. That is spectacular. That is absolutely brilliant. I love it. Now, before we play the next clip, you have to agree with that 100%.
Probably 98%. Because I think overall we know where Reed butters his bread. It's going to eventually be on the offensive side of the ball, hitting shots, playing offense. But who was it that you had on yesterday or the day before who talked about NBA players abusing white shooters?
That's the next. Hang on, that's the next soundbite. That's the next soundbite. Hang on. Well, his coach is a really good defensive guy, and he wants to play more, and he was told to work on his defense. And the fact that he is, how many young people in the summertime for 40 minutes are not going to touch a ball and work on defense? I'm going to tell you, he's in the 1 percentile. He's in absolutely unequivocally, I would stake your reputation on this. He's in the 1 percentile, 40 minutes as a professional. That's one. Now, let's play the second bite, and I want you to respond. Haslam was part of the group on the NBA Today. Haslam is really good on TV. He lasted in the NBA 1,000 years. When he couldn't play for the last 4 or 5, he wasn't any good because he's such a strong leader and a great team guy. And he was like having an assistant coach, and he's respected tremendously. And if he ends up being the president of Miami 10 years from now, wouldn't surprise me, by the way. Wouldn't surprise me. He's that respected and that good on TV. So when he heard this, that Reed was working on his defense, he got excited. Now, Jimmy, play clip number 4, and then I want to talk about that. Here it is.
And I love that you're working on your defense because I'm going to tell you a secret in this league. We pick on white shooters. No, we do. We hunt you guys. We hunt you guys. You know this. We will hunt white shooters in the league, and we'll pick on you defensively. So I love that you're working on defense all summer.
I never heard about that.
You didn't know that?
40 minutes of just straight defense and workouts. I knew about the best part. That part.
That sounds like Amen Doku. I'm not surprised with Amen.
Can we hit you with some quick hitters before we let you go here, Reed? We know you got some stuff to prepare for here. All right. I'm wondering, since we're here in Las Vegas, nightclub, pool party, what's the vibe?
Pool party. It's
pool party.
You gotta have a pool here.
Especially here. It's 110 degrees here in Las Vegas. If you needed a game winner, if you needed a walk-off shot, both your parents played college ball. You handing the rock to mom or you handing the rock to dad?
I'm giving it to mom.
Now, your 2 cents. I don't think this is a racial thing. I think it's a cultural thing. And I'm glad Haslam said it because that's been my feeling for a really long time. But to tell you the truth, I've never really talked about it. But it is. You're looking for an edge. And there's a reputation that white guys don't play defense as good as some of the other guys. And there are plenty of African Americans who don't play really good defense, too. This is just being straight out. So hunting them because there's a feeling with a lot of black guys that white guys are in the league only because they shoot. Well, if you have a talent, that should be good enough. Oscar should be in the league because he's a great rebounder. So some of this is a little nuts, but I think it's a culture thing. When you hear somebody say that in today's society, and I love the comment, it's honest, it's real. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. What does Dr. John Wong think about this?
I think one man's culture could be perceived as another man's racial issue, depending on how sensitive you are. When you really think about it, one thing about Reed is that he's talented enough that he's not your stereotypical just sit in the corner and shoot 3 type of shooters. The guy can get out there, he can defend, he can make steals, he can block shots. So I bristle a little bit about it, but only from the standpoint if I have to ask myself, could I have gotten away with asking a question like that? You know, Haslam could because he's black. He asked it in a very, very non-confrontational, joking manner. I think it was taken properly. But could you have asked that question? Could I have asked that question and could have it come off in the same way? Probably not.
Haslam can ask that question better than I can. Let's go one step further. Not me sitting here in Lexington, Kentucky. Let's say I covered the NBA for 20, 30 years, that kind of thing, as much as I've covered UK basketball. Could I ask that question? Yes. I really think I could. Does it sound better coming from him than it would me? Yes. If you have a good relationship with players, you can say it in a joking manner. One of the ways that Haslam did, which I thought was brilliant, I don't know if he did it on purpose, he had excitement in his voice. It's like he's been wanting to say this to a white player for a long time, but because Reed said something really good that he loves, because he loves the fact that Reed is working on his game, that has nothing to do with white or black. because he's working on his game. He loves that so much. He said, this is what we do, and maybe he won't be able to take advantage of you. And by the way, Reed Shepherd probably jumps better than a lot of guys who are on his team. Okay, so you can take that stereotype, and it doesn't fit everybody. That's just the truth. He had 3 blocked shots the other night, for crying out loud. His timing is incredible. Would it be easier for Haslam to ask that question? Always, absolutely. But if I was in the league for that long, maybe I shouldn't have turned down that job in San Antonio 1,000 years ago, but that's neither here nor there. If I was in the league that long and I had a lot of good relationships, could I jokingly ask that question? Yes, I think I could. Now, you might think I'm delusional, and I'm okay with that.
No, that's a huge point, because it really does depend on the relationship that you have with the players. You can get away with a lot more if you know the guy, and more importantly, they know exactly where you're coming from.
Amen.
I don't know Reed very well. I don't know him other than the interviews that we did in that 1 year that he was at Kentucky. And I found him always to be extremely, I don't know, serious may be the wrong word, but he would listen to your question very thoughtfully. Then he would give you a very, very respectful answer. I didn't find a lot of joking. I didn't find a lot of back and forth. He almost seems like a guy who was destined to always say the right things. And because he kind of grew up in the bubble, he knew that, hey, these interview sessions, it's just something that I have to survive. I have to take the question, I'll answer it, and we'll kind of go for there. So he's always been very, very serious in my mind. Whether he's truly like that, I have absolutely no idea.
I think he's different around his friends, I would think. Hey, Jimmy, do me a favor. Cue up the trash talking one when you have it. Even though you might have heard it the other day, Doc, I think it's wonderful. I didn't know he could do this. That doesn't mean he wasn't doing it when he played here. Nobody ever said he did it. That doesn't mean he didn't do it in practice. I don't remember a reporter, and this is not a shot against reporters, ever asking Reed, hey, do you talk trash in practice or anytime? If somebody did, I don't remember, but I saw everything out there. And so this was Reed after he hit a big shot the other night.
I wouldn't leave me open. I wouldn't do that one.
Don't leave me open. I wouldn't do that one.
I've heard better trash talk. I mean,
I'm not saying it's great. The fact that
I guess for Reed Shepherd, that one's pretty much in your face. You know, you might as well insulted your mother with that coming from Reed.
By the way, good news for Kobe Bryant. Breaking news. You ready? So this has been in the works for quite some time. Bradley Beal, I don't know what the number is. His contract is really stupid. It was one of the dumb things Phoenix did to give up a bunch of draft choices for an old guy who wasn't worth his money. Bradley Beal has accepted a buyout. I don't know what percentage it is for all of his contract. And what Shams is saying is that he wanted to find a team before accepting the buyout. He's signing a 2-year, $11 million contract with the Clippers, and that's perfect for him. They can win, and he shouldn't have to play 40 minutes a game. I think he still has value. He's not worth the money he was getting, but you know what? Somebody's give him that contract. God bless, more power to him. That's more time for Kobe Bryant. I wouldn't be surprised if they the word is they're trying to trade Grayson Allen as well, which would open up even more minutes because Phoenix has way, way, way too many guards. That's breaking news. So I just want to throw it in there.
No, it's wonderful news, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. You talk about a guy who always lit up the interview room, even when Kentucky lost and he didn't have his best game. Whenever we got a chance to talk to him, he was always very, very cordial. He smiled a lot, and in my mind, that makes a difference.
One, I agree, and two, I'll stand by what I said during the season. Why I thought he'd be a better pro, Kobe, because he's still not there yet, but his ability to improve his handle, to create space for himself, to get his shot will be the key, I think, of him making it even bigger. Now, it's just a snippet. It's just a snippet, and he's not there yet, but he's already better watching the Summer League, and I know it's not the real NBA guys. There are guys trying to make the NBA, and they're hustling pretty hard, by the way. It's one of the good things about the Summer League. These guys are really hustling their fannies off because they're trying to get a job, you know, trying to get a two-way, trying to get a contract, trying to get whatever. So the hustle is great in the Summer League. But he put on a couple of moves that I thought were really, really good, and those moves gave him space to shoot the ball. He made a baseline move, Doc, that was kind of like, wow. And I think he's a couple of years away, not from being totally set, but from being much better. And I think he's going to improve so much more than people realize. I said it 6 months ago. I'm saying it now because he works on his dribble. He really works on his handle. He works on spacing to get a little more room to take a shot off. I think there'll be people who say we should have drafted him in the first round. Not Lotto. Not Lotto. Walter Clayton should have been in the Lotto. That was done by these NBA people, and he's going to make them look all foolish. I've been saying that for a long time. But I think Kobe's got a better future than some people think.
I do hope his defense improves somewhat because, as you know, he couldn't guard your grandmother, especially when he was here in college. But some of those shots he got off, some of those offensive plays were spectacular.
My grandmother could go to her right. Actually, one of the things that helped the team was when he started playing defense more, but he still was a way, way, way below average defense.
He was a definite liability out there.
I didn't think he went from liability to way, way, way below average. I thought he improved to get to way, way, way below average. He got better.
We'll give him kudos for being way, way, way below average.
I thought he was way, way below average.
Yeah, he was. No doubt about it.
But he was much better at the end than he was in the beginning.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. Do they play defense in the summer league?
Yes, because guys are trying to get a job. The hustle is really good now, and there's two reasons for this. There's more selfishness, partly because some guys are trying to get a job and they just want a ball and they just want to display. That there's no question that are guys at times being too selfish. Or I get the ball, I'm just going to the rack. More so than they'll get away with during the regular season. There's no question about it. But yeah, the defense is better than you think because they're trying to do anything to impress scouts, coaches, general managers, stuff like that. The hustle's really good. You should watch it. The problem is, and I've admitted this, it's crazy how I follow this stuff, and I don't know who the hell these people are. So many of them. I can't believe how many players are in the summer league that I don't know who they are. Or, gee, they played 3 years ago. Whatever happened to him? Oh, he's bounced around, or he went to Europe. Oh, now he's trying to make there's tons of players I just don't know.
Yeah, and you're one who follows the sport just about as religiously as anybody else I know, especially locally. I mean, who else is more tuned in to the NBA than Alan Cutler is? But here's where you and I really, really differ. Okay. You're into a lot of the logistical, technical aspects of the game. You've got an eye for that I would never in my right mind think about. I'm kind of more into the personal relationship type deal. You know, for example, in our conversations, you're talking about dribbles and shots, and I'm talking about how easy it is to interview a guy. And your experience over the years as a reporter conducting all these interviews, and I watched you operate. You know, you were pushy, you were up there, you were microphone in their face at the expense of everybody else. There had to be players that were much, much easier for you to talk to than others. For example, easier for me to talk to Kobe Brea than it was Reed Shepherd. I'm not quite sure why, but what is it that makes for a very, very interviewable subject?
That's a great question. There are some guys that are quiet. Okay, I've wondered if I could have talked to Reed the way we could in the 80s, and I'm saying the 80s on purpose because it changed after Joe B. You still could interview players under Rick, and you could get in a locker room under Rick. And so one of the things that I did all the time, okay, Mashburn has a great game. Everybody's around Mashburn. Okay, sometimes I try to get my mic in right away, get what I need, and purposely leave quickly, and then maybe go back after everybody's talked to Mash and go talk to a couple players that aren't talked to as much, so you can get them one-on-one. I've wondered if I could talk to Reed the way I was allowed, and we were allowed to talk to players in the 80s, if I wouldn't have had a real good relationship with Reed, because I was very fortunate that I could get almost anybody to laugh, and laughter was my secret weapon. And if you could joke with somebody, it diffuses things tremendously. And it doesn't matter that Reed is, and I say this with loving kindness, he's kind of buttoned up, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, they're very, very guarded. In fact, a lot of them come out, especially the UK basketball players. I'm talking about them specifically. They've been briefed on, hey, here's what to say, here's not what to say. I won't say they're coming out with a script, but they know the party line is to, okay, go here, don't go there. And so I think it's impossible, especially in the latter years of all this one and done where players are only here for 5 months and they're gone. I think it would be impossible for even somebody like you, Alan, who's a professional in terms of interviewing and getting good feature stories and getting people to kind of lay their heart on the line. I think it would have been impossible for you to do as good of a job or as nearly as good of a job as some of those stories that you got back when you had multiple access over the course of a number of years and was able to get to know the players a lot better. It just isn't like that anymore. You don't know what you're missing right now.
The number of years, you're absolutely unequivocally right. But there is something else. They were given the company line 30, 40 years ago too. So that was going on when you were taking care of my son's mouth and teeth and stuff like that. But you have players that are comfortable with their own skin, and what happens is amplifying your point. If you're going to be there a second, it's like, I'll give you an example. Keith Bogans was a good interview right away. I don't know why I'm thinking of Keith, but it's a perfect example. And I remember, like, the second time I talked to him, I teased him that he had the voice of an old-time FM rock disc jockey. Remember, Keith had that deep voice and stuff like that, and he laughed, and that really helped our relationship a lot. And he really didn't do the company line right away because he was really, really cocky, but he got better as well. And so he got more comfortable, and he never, what I would say, ratted on the company line, but he would be a lot more open. And I just think I was able to do it with a lot of guys. Now, would it be easier talking to Reed Shepherd a second year? Yes. I can't believe that if I got, and I'm not talking about 20 minutes, 2-3 minutes with Reed on the side, the way you could with football players. And I'm saying 2-3 minutes, or when there's a little gang of 5 people because everybody's somewhere else and you can ask 3-4 questions. I just can't believe I couldn't make them laugh. I just don't believe it.
Yeah, especially with the relationship that you had with Jeff and with Stacy too, right?
I don't think that would matter. Maybe he would know that or not know that. I don't know. He would still be buttoned up. I'm not going to change his personality, but I think I could make him more comfortable. And if you do that, they will tell you a little more. It's a pretty simple deal. It's just life is general, and I was very fortunate that way. And I know it sounds like bragging, but as I've called Reggie Hansen, the man with $1 million smile, who goes on TV and calls somebody the man with $1 million smile. Only I would do those kinds of things. It was natural. It was whatever, because he had $1 million smile. And when you get into the personalities of people, they open up more. I think
I think a part of it is also maturity too, because when you're talking about one and done, truly 17 and 18-year-old freshmen, of course they're going to have deer in the headlights. And that's why sometimes right now with this transfer portal, getting some of these old, mature, grandfatherly types in, people like a Jalen Lowe, I think you're able to have a little bit better of a natural flow of conversation. You're able to joke a little bit back and forth because they've been through it. They kind of know what to expect. So I think that's a major, major difference also.
See, I really believe, I've offered my services and they don't want it, and that's fine. They need people like me, and I'm not the only one who could do this, by the way, so let's not get silly here, as they train their kids to bring me and say, look, we're not the enemy. We're not the enemy. And you should use this as a training ground for going to the NBA, where the media in Kentucky is soft compared to the media in New York and Chicago and, Los Angeles and a lot of other places. And we're not out to get you. And the more you can feel comfortable with yourself, the better you will be. And I think that's not explained enough. My sense is, from what I've been told, and I could be wrong here, is that they are more concerned with the company line, and I respect that, by the way, than saying, okay, be yourself. Be yourself. Protect your teammates, protect the school, but be yourself, because that will help you down the road when you go into the NBA.
And it's not mutually exclusive either, right? I mean, you can help yourself and help your teammates also.
Yes. We're about out. I found the numbers. So I'm jumping back to football. And Doc, thank you for being Smokey Burgess. 35 quarterback sacks last year. And they finished 114 out of 133 teams. Think how bad that was. Plus, not only the sacks, but when you're having that many sacks, how many times the quarterback have to rush a throw and that kind of thing, because they're getting the yips and they're getting
You are talking Kentucky, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that was pretty obvious. I know I'm jumping back to what we were talking about before. And then you're talking about rushing. They were only 81st in the country. That also sucked. And also when you talk about their turnovers, I don't have the turnover number in front of me, but they were terrible. And so whether the rushing yards gets better or not, you'd like it to be better or not, if they protect the quarterback much better, and if they don't turn it over, they can surprise some people.
Yeah, I wonder how many of those turnovers and how many of those quarterback sacks and all those negative plays were early in the ball game, because I can't tell you the number of times when just everyone has been demoralized because they would get out of the gate so slow. There'd be a horrible play. People would start rolling their eyes and say, here we go again. Momentum is huge. So I think it's not only the actual absolute numbers, but it's also when they occur in the ball game. With Kentucky, it always seems like it's at a critical time, either at the very beginning in that crucial 8-minute span around halftime, or toward the end of the game. Yeah, I think if they can cut out turnovers and make sure that if they do have one, that it's at an inconsequential time. I don't know how you control that, but I think that's going to be a real key this year too.
Hold on to the damn ball and don't throw picks. It's a pretty simple deal. And you know what? You don't have to be 5 stars to do a better job of that. And that was, to me, part of the problem with the tremendous lack of discipline throughout the entire program last year. Holding on to the ball, you don't have to be 15-0 to do a better job of holding on to the ball. Smokey Burgess, you got a last comment? We got 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, my arm's warmed up. I'm ready for you anytime. In fact, I wish I could go down to Atlanta and ask Stu some questions, but like you said, it's much easier just to sit on my couch, watch the replay, see what he has to say.
He's not going to say anything tomorrow that I think will be surprising.
I would want to ask him why he's been so quiet, though. I mean, here is a situation where this is a year of all these years that the fans need to be kind of jacked up. They need to be excited. And yet it's been crickets the entire time. What's going through his mind on that?
I'll bet somebody asks him. I'm going to have faith in the media that somebody will ask him.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. But
I think it is
whether
a good
he'll
question.
answer it or
You want
not,
the
I
answer?
don't know.
You want the answer? We're coming off a bad year, so therefore we just wanted to put our nose to the grindstone and improve it on the field instead of.
I'm shaking my head. I'm shaking my head. Heard it all before, but
yeah,
you're right. That's Stoops. That's what we get.
That's what I'll bet you a cup of coffee. That's what he says.
All right. I'll write it down.
You want to bet? And by the way, we're going to play. If everything works out, we're going to play the entire Stoops things tomorrow during the monologue.
Hey, you know me. I'll be tuned in. I may be sitting by the pool, but I'll be tuned in.
20 seconds. Give a plug. We only got 20 seconds.
Whining for posterity. Go on Amazon. A lot of initial reviews, but I'm growing it organically. I need you to tell all your friends and all your neighbors and everybody else who might be interested in a book of life lessons. It does have some sports in it, some good UK moments also.
Bless you, Doc. Thank you, Smokey. Dr. John Wong, 8 books. Check out his books, including Cut to the Chase. Appreciate it tremendously. Appreciate Doc and Austin Kearns. That was